And as we begin and talk about legendary leaders, let me deal with the misnomer regarding the title. Legendary leadership is not about you being the legend. It's about you creating legendary chapters so that it continues on after you're gone. That's about legendary leadership. And the first aspect of that, the number one thing, the 4 traits that illustrate this, starts off with this. We should have to be humble. The idea being that you haven't begun to lead until you realize it's not about you. Right? If being a DA or DR or chapter leader is all of a sudden now about you and building something about you, that's not real leadership. Great leadership makes sure that's about other people. But I have to deal with the humility of it because it sounds really good to say, be humble. And everyone's like, yes, I'll be humble. But it's awfully hard to live it out. So let me give you some practical things as we think through living this out. Right? Number one is that you have to realize there's no superwoman or superman needed here. Right? Sometimes we step into leadership positions and we go and we engage, now we're all like, da-da-da-da, I'm here to save the day. Internal auditors at your service. And we think that we have to now know and do everything. But amazing legendary leaders realize that they don't have all the answers. That they're not superwoman or superman. The other aspect of it is that they realize that they make mistakes. So what I want you to do with the person next to you, I want you to practice real quick. I want you to tell them, say, I make mistakes. That's good. That's good. Some of y'all look at the person like, you make a lot of mistakes, right? You can't? No. That's good. The perfectionist can't make mistakes, right? I'm sorry, that's not a part of the 10 standards. I understand. But one of the intriguing things about this is that we all make mistakes. So I want to illustrate what it means to make a mistake. Let's put it. What's your name? Emily? Okay, she said fabulous initially. I was like, oh, that's your name, okay. I thought he was a rapper. All right, so Emily, right? So fictitious story, right? Emily and I, we've been dating now for a couple years. We're in college again. And Emily looks like she's in college now. And one of the things that Emily, she wants to go to the library, right? And so I'm so excited I get to go to the library with Emily. We get to spend time together. And Emily's like, no, Justin, I want to go to the library alone today. And so she goes to the library, and I just happen to go too. I'm looking at Emily through the stacks like, wait a minute. Why is Emily sitting next to Bobby? Laughing on his corny jokes. Rubbing on his hairy knuckles. Okay, I see how this is going down. So some time passes by, Emily gets back to her room, so I'm like, so Emily, how was the library?
Oh, the library. I didn't go today. Alright, you didn't go. You said you were going. Okay, alright, so, but I saw you at the library. So, being that you were at the library, how was the library? The library was fantastic.
I'm sure it was. Alright. Would you mind sharing what you happen to study?
Biology.
That's what they call it now, right? Now, it's, I'm grateful, that Emily and I talked, but if I never told Emily that I actually saw her at the library, and she never apologized, every time Emily says she's going to the library, what am I thinking?
Bobby.
I'm thinking Bobby, right? Now, if Emily would have been open and honest with me, I probably would have cried a little bit, and I was like, I miss you, but we would have been able to resolve it. I would have realized the truth with Emily. But this is the same thing about those that we serve and that we lead, right? They know we make mistakes. They know, and sometimes we have to be open and honest to admit those mistakes, to be able to come forward and say, hey, maybe that other person's idea was a better idea than mine. Just because I'm the DA doesn't mean I have all the answers, or just because you're the chapter leader. These are the things that people know when we're being open and honest. See, this is what I love about great leadership. People know that we're not perfect, right? They know, except for one over here. The perfectionists, right? They know when we're not perfect. The question is, are we going to be humble enough to admit this? Now, let me give you the balance of this. What I'm not saying is go to every chapter meeting and say, hey, everybody, I'm a failure. I suck at life. Tech standards, don't have them. Nope. CIA gave it up, right? No, I'm not saying do that. What I am saying is when somebody else deserves the credit and we give them the credit, we enforce and serve them in ways that are helpful. See, this is great humility, great leadership. But the other aspect of this is creating an environment where people can feel open and honest about how we're really doing. So let's illustrate this over here. So I like this. Now, what's your name, man? Megan, your name? Deanne. Okay, I know Deanne. All right. So imagine, so Megan, oh my gosh, you're running up. You're going to be a great DR. I'm just so excited for you. Like, this is amazing. I support you in this journey. You're going to be the best leader ever. Like, Deanne, I can't stand Megan. She thinks and knows it all just because she has hair. She doesn't involve other people. She doesn't have an effective succession plan. She's going to be one of the ones that just stays on as an older board member and still wants to stay on forever. We need to create an advisory board for her. Like, these are the things that are happening and being said. The question is if we're able to create an open environment where people can feel open and honest to share how they really feel about us. Because people, they love us and they think we suck at the same time. The question is, how do we create that environment where people can do that? Now, in my consulting world, we do something simple called plus delta. Right? Plus delta simply is this. Plus, what did I do well, or what am I doing well as a leader? Delta, what should I change or improve? Now, if you do this, whether on a monthly or quarterly basis, to simply ask and get a gauge of how people think that you're really doing. This is a great tool you can even utilize in your relationships. How many people in relationships in the room? Yeah, some of y'all like, 1 second, let me check. Okay, we're good, we're still good, right? You went to Orlando without me, we're done, right? Now, the truth is that if you do this, like, I want you to ask the question and say, like, how am I doing as a leader? And give people the open floor to be able to share how you're doing. So you say the plus, and say this is how awesome you are and great at it. But the greater question is, what should I change or improve? Because we need to know, how do we get better? How can we learn? And everybody loves the plus, but we hate the delta. Let me give you a practical tip in doing this. If you do the delta, I only want you to say 2 words. And those 2 words are simply this. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Even if somebody says something, and you know it's 99% somebody else's fault. Oh, it's really Bobby's fault, right? No. You still say thank you, because the great leaders realize that they take responsibility. The greatest leaders step up and say, hey, I know it could be somebody else's fault, but I'm going to engage this. And we hear this all the time, but very few people practice it, is that we praise in public, but criticize in private. We engage people and give them the dignity that they deserve. Now, there's certain things that we need to say in public because everybody needs to hear it. But how we engage those that we serve is powerful. Because when you realize it's not about you, then anyone can get the credit. It's amazing. Don't you love that? When it's not about you or you getting the credit that anything can be accomplished, that's when we have really begun to lead and are humble. Everybody say, be humble.